This is video 3 of the CUTP template instructional series. In this video we will be demonstrating how to set up the training levels and phases, as well as take a look at the screens for Corps and Squadron Information, Staff Information, CO's Intent, and Locations and Shipping. The information on these screens will flow to and is used in other parts of the template. As we see here, after the initial setup screen, the next setup wizard is for the levels and phases. This is where you will set how many classes or groups of each level or phase you will run and schedule for. These settings can be changed at any time. The default settings are for one class or group of each level or phase. If you need to change these settings, use the plus or minus buttons below each level or phase. If I want to run 2 classes of level 1 or phase 1, I can use the plus key, and so on. You can add or subtract very easily using those buttons, and the template adjusts accordingly. If you have a level or phase that you won't be running, set the number of classes to 0. So if I wasn't going to run a year 4, I would click the minus button. Because it's going to 0, it's giving you a little warning. Deleting a class will delete all scheduling and information related to that class. Do you want to proceed? Yes or no? Click yes, and you can see it's set to 0. I'm going to set it back to 1 because I do want to run that level, and I want to run 2 classes or groups of year 1. So that's what we'll be going with for this demonstration. Using this button down here, changing class names and class groupings, you can create custom names and groups for your training levels and phases. Simply click this button, and it opens up this dialog box. To customize class names, click in the class name field and simply overtype the text that you want. So I'm going to give them some training names. Now later on, for different users, Hercules by itself may not be very definitive and tell people that that is year 1. So it's recommended that you keep the training year included in the name so that other users can easily make that reference and that connection. This will be my Phantom Group 1B. And I will leave the rest of my level names as is, just to do that demonstration. As I said, you can also create custom groupings, which adds another filtering option in the PO schedulers and in the dashboard manager, which we'll be demonstrating later, but I'll show you how to create those groups. And that may be just training levels or phases that you tend to schedule and look at together. That could be a simple split of junior senior, or if your unit has satellite units, that's a great way to manage those groupings as well. First you create the groupings and then you make the assignments. You create the group names using this button in the top right. Click on that and create the groups that you want. I'm going to go with that simple junior senior split. And when done, click the exit button. I've created those group names. Now I make the assignments, and this is where I make the assignments under this class group. This is all completely optional. You just do that if you find that that will be useful to you. So I'm just going to put years 1 and years 2 together as my junior groups, and I'm going to put years 3 and 4 together as my senior group. I'll leave level 5 or year 5 all onto its own. And I'm all done that, and we'll see in other parts of the template, particularly the PO schedulers, where this filtering option can be very handy. So these are the settings that I want to do here, and I'm ready to now show you some of the other screens that are part of the Corps and Squadron Information module. You can see in the upper area of the screen here is the basic Corps and Squadron Information area, and you can see some of the information's been customized from the initial basic setup screen. There's some fields that are still blank, and you can complete these fields by clicking in typing in the information and hitting the tab key to go to the next field. As you move from field to field, the data is automatically saved for you. So my apologies to 85 Squadron for using them as a guinea pig, but I'm going to type in some basic made-up information here. So you can see I'm typing, I hit the tab key, I go to the next field. And just keep tabbing until you get to the next field that you want. Use drop-down fields as appropriate and continue tabbing. You can put in your parade timings. This is the start of your opening parade, and then the start times for each period. Again, this information flows to and is used in other parts of the template. And the start time of my closing parade. Your cadet quota and staff quota are provided to you from the RCSU, and your detachment. I'm just going to put in a very sample one here, and that basic unit information is now complete. In the lower portion of the screen we have some tabbed screen options here, and we'll take a look at each of these. The first tab is the Corps and Squadron Staff Information, where you can enter information on all the staff and volunteers you have working with your unit. The first step of that is to choose the staff type for the person that you're entering using the drop-down list. Your choices are a CIC member, a CI, someone from the codes list, a true volunteer or screen volunteer, CIC volunteer, or other military person, P-Res or Reg Force volunteering with your unit. We're going to pick a CIC staff type. Once we choose the staff type, any of the drop-down boxes, the choices that are available, filter according to the staff type. And we're going to just make up a service number here. And then from the drop-down, choose the rank for the individual. This is the CO, enter the name. The next step as we go along are the duties, primary duties and secondary duties. Click on the primary duties button, and for the member that we're entering, we have the ability to select using the drop down the primary duty. For this person is the commanding officer. If they had another primary duty, we could go down to the next record and select using the drop down another primary duty. In this case, I'm going to just stay with that of commanding officer and close the form. For secondary duties then, click on the secondary button. Again, for the member that we're entering, we can choose secondary duty. He's going to be the range safety officer, and also as the band officer as another secondary duty. Keep going until all the secondary duties that apply to that person are covered, and hit close form when done. Phone number is very straightforward. Just making up some data. Very simply type in the information and tab to the next field, filling in information as applicable. In the primary email field, you can see for CIC member, anyone on the paid establishment is going to have a primary email defaulted to CadetNet. And so you would use the proper format and tab out to the next field, which is the D&D 404. If applicable, you would enter the information, and using the pop-up calendar, select the expiry date, choosing month, year, and then date. Specialty qualifications, if they apply, again, for the member that you're entering, use the drop down This person is my RSO, so I'm going to probably need to enter RSO qualification for them. In this case, you just simply type it in. And if there was another specialty qualification, you would continue on at the next record, and when done, close form. There is an additional email option. So if there's a civilian email address, simply type it in. And that member is complete. You would then go down to the next record to enter your next staff member, and using the drop down for the staff type, choose the staff type and continue on. We have covered the levels and phases tab already, so we'll skip over that and go to CO's intent. CO's intent is a completely optional screen. It provides the unit with the ability, under the CO's direction, to create an overall direction for the creation of the training plan. Begin with the end in mind is the idea, and so you just create those overall goals and objectives that you would like to achieve. With those in mind, then create an approach to the training plan that you would like to see, how it should be approached and constructed, and indicate any highlights for the year that would be part of that. And under this button here, you can see view the CO's intent guide. There is a guide to give you more details, more information along with examples, and you can look at that and get a better understanding of how to use this screen. There's an on-screen tip here as well in case you want to draft this information in another document, such as a Word document, and cut and paste it into the fields, and it shows you the commands to use for cutting and pasting within the template. The final tab is that for locations and shipping. The idea here is that you enter the information once in this screen, and it's available to you in other parts of the template. So very commonly there are some common locations that you conduct exercises and activities in, and so if you enter that information here, you'll only have to do it that one time. Simply click in the name field for the location and put in the name of the location and address and directions, information that will let people know where the bus needs to go, basically. Whatever the directions may be, and then you would go on to your next location, type in the name and the accompanying information. Common bus departure address quite often is your parade location. If that's the case, just simply enter that. I would include the postal code just in case. And address used for shipping exercise equipment. It could be being shipped direct to the exercise location, or if it's being shipped to your parade location or other location, whatever it is, whatever the one that you want to use as the default, you can put it in. I'm going to use those cut and paste tips so that I don't have to retype all that information. And again, those cut and paste tips are on the CO's intent page. Clicking Close Form will take you to the next setup screen, which is the PO Wizard module, and this will be the subject of our next video.